Life as a parent is nonstop. I'm so focused on keeping my family healthy that I barely have time to take care of myself. If this sounds like you, then you need to give Symbiotica a try. Symbiotica is a health and wellness company that empowers individuals to take ownership of their health with high-quality formulas and supplements crafted to boost energy, immunity, gut health, and more. Symbiotica supplements are made with clean, natural ingredients, and they don't contain any toxins or artificial ingredients. Because they were designed for us, busy parents. They're quick and easy to take. Just a daily dose for your energy, immune system, and overall well-being. It's made staying consistent so much easier. And the best part? Symbiotica is having their holiday sale, so now's the perfect time to put your health in the driver's seat. Head to Symbiotica.com for 20% off with code GIFT20. That's CYMBIOTIKA.com with code GIFT20 for 20% off. Your health transformation journey starts now. Symbiotica Natural and Organic Supplements.
You've discovered your link to GoPowercat.com's Tannahill and Spiller Powercat Podcast. Here are your hosts, former K-State tight end Travis Tannahill and former Wildcat safety Monte Spiller.
Welcome, everyone, to this week's episode of the Tannahill and Spiller Podcast. It will just be the Tannahill Podcast today. Monty decided to sneak out a little early for some Thanksgiving festivities, so we're recording this on Wednesday before Thanksgiving. Assume this will be released either on Thursday, Thanksgiving Day, or Friday, the day before K-State versus Baylor. So I'm going to do this solo. Never done a solo podcast. Usually the whole interview style tag team combo works pretty well. So we'll see how long I can talk. See how Colin Cowherd, how hard his job actually is, just talking into a microphone for hours and hours and hours. But no, so it's probably be a little shorter. Kind of just give you my thoughts on the Iowa State game, give a few blips on the Baylor game coming up, and go from there. So first up, K-State versus Iowa State. Obviously, not a very fun game to watch. Does anyone else feel like this season's just getting really, really long? I know, what do we got? 2 games left after this, and I just feel like the season's gone really long. 2020's gone really long. I am almost just ready to kick this season to the curb and get on with 2021 and get the vaccine out, and hopefully things go much smoother heading into 2021. But with that being said, we're still keeping score. Wins and losses still count. Kansas State versus Iowa State did not go very well. Kind of the first thing that jumped out at me is, I don't know, I was pretty up on Will Howard. When, for first couple games, he was playing pretty well, making good decisions, and it's kind of just, I don't know if, Kansas State, they did the best they could to protect them. The coaching staff did. They needed him to play better. They needed him to open up the playbook in order to win some ball games. They knew that, which means they kind of got to throw him into the fire and either sink or swim. And unfortunately, he has, and this Kansas State team has been sinking more than swimming as of late. So Will Howard, obviously we need better play from him. It's a hard fix in 1 year. He needs time in the offseason. He needs to get his strength up. It looks like his arm is just dead. He's not getting hardly any velocity on that football anymore, and he's just not playing very well. So unfortunately, that's something that can be fixed in 5 days. But at the end of the day, he is a freshman. So hopefully something clicks. Hopefully, just kind of week to week game plan. Hopefully for whatever that game plan that is that week, that he can memorize it well enough to go out there and play better. Because if he doesn't start to play better, I don't think Nick Ost is the answer. I think he's a nice backup quarterback. He gives your team a chance to win, especially if you're ahead by 2 or 3 scores and he has to come into the game. If your number one gets hurt, he can maintain that lead, but he's not gonna lead you up and down the field against Big 12 opponents week in and week out. From everything we've read this week, it looks like Coach Kleiman is, kind of having a little bit of a quarterback competition. Who knows if that's, kind of just coach talk to the media, or if that truly is what's going on behind closed doors. Because I don't know. I'd be a little surprised if we see Nick Ost come out there on Saturday against Baylor, just because, I don't know, Coach Kleiman's such a, what's the word I'm looking for? Not a system guy, but he's a process guy. So he's not really, he doesn't, from what he says at least, obviously losing sucks, but he doesn't really care about the wins and losses. All he cares about is getting better, and the wins and losses take care of themselves. And if he throws Nick Ost out there, obviously an upperclassman, not going to be around very long, probably already reached his potential. Will Howard or someone else, Jake Rubley is obviously the future. You would love to get them as many reps as possible. So I'll be surprised if we see Nick Ost out there. I would love to see, continue to go with Will Howard. Obviously that, his confidence has to be a little shaken. I would say pulling him at this point will only do more damage to that confidence. So I think you just got to ride or die with Will Howard at this point. And that is one thing I've talked with a few guys this week is, man, how much different would the season be if Skylar Thompson just stayed healthy? So, I know K-State fans, myself in general, everyone's a little frustrated, but I mean, the season hasn't gone the way I think everyone had hoped, but, number one quarterback's out. We've missed key guys. I've talked 3 linebackers were off last week against Iowa State, so we're out last week against Iowa State. So it's been a frustrating year. I'm sure the coaching staff is just as frustrated as anyone, and really just overall, it's just been a stressful, hard, difficult year. So hopefully they can end on a positive note against a Baylor and Texas coming up here. But we got to give props to Iowa State. So Iowa State did play, honestly, one of their better games of the season. Brock Purdy, who I'm very average on. I think he's a little overhyped in the Big 12 media or national media. But, props to him. 16 for 20, 236 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. That's how you draw it up. 80% pass completion and, 2.5 or 236 yards, 3 touchdowns. I mean, shoot, if our quarterback played like that, I think we would have obviously competed a little better. So Brock Purdy, prop to him. I have not been too up on him, but he played pretty well against a depleted Kansas State defense. So there were a lot of holes out there. There were open receivers. So let's not give him too much credit. That Kansas State defense limped in on Saturday and did not have a full strength team to put out there. Rushing, Breece Hall, the Kansas kid, 15 carries, 135 yards, 9 yards average, 2 touchdowns. I mean, man, I would have loved to see this kid in purple. I know hindsight's 2020. We can't do anything about it now, but I just hate seeing great Kansas talent leave the state of Kansas. And I know, and we talk recruiting every once in a while, and not too much. I kind of start paying attention to guys once they get on campus. A lot of I get texts all the time. Why didn't K-State recruit this guy? Why didn't K-State recruit that kid? And it's like, I'm sure they made a phone call, and the kid went, "Hey, I'm not interested." I mean, at the end of the day, if you're this Kansas State's team, you only want kids that want to come to your school. So you can do everything you can, but you only have so much time, so much resources. If you call a kid that, like that kid, the kid from Blue Valley North. That ended up at Wisconsin. He had Alabama offers. He had offers from everywhere. And people are like, why didn't K-State recruit him? And it's like, he probably didn't want to come to K-State. And that's nothing against K-State, but, a lot of times kids want to go far away. They want to stay close to home. I remember my recruiting search, I would get calls from all over the country. And I'd be like, hey, I want to stay within 3 hours of driving distance of my hometown, so my parents can see me play, and that was important to me. So, TCU called me, and I told them, hey, thanks, but I'm not coming to Dallas. That's too far. That's too far for me. I do not want my parents to have to travel that far. And so, a lot of times it's stuff like that. It's nothing against the staff. It's nothing against the school. It just happens to be where the kid was born, and the kid doesn't want to go far. The kid does want to go far. Some kids want to get the heck out of town, and they need to get out of town. So they're not going to stay. Kid growing up in Kansas City, he doesn't want to go to Columbia. He doesn't want to go to Lawrence. He wants to get farther away from town. Graham Mertz, that's the name I'm looking for. Graham Mertz, which, by the way, Wisconsin just finding out their game got canceled Saturday, which makes them ineligible for the Big Ten, which is very unfortunate. The Big Ten conference game, that's a bummer. They're looking real good. They look like one of the top teams in the country, not just one of the top teams in the Big Ten. I don't know how I got on this tangent, but Breece Hall, Kansas kid that Kansas State didn't land. So there's a coaching transition going on at that time. So I hate to see him leave, but there's so many other factors, and that's another thing we can talk about with kind of the transfer portal and the frustrations. I was on a podcast earlier with Matt Walters, who voiced his frustrations at the transfer portal, and it is frustrating as a fan, and I had a high school coach that, sat me down. I told him I wanted to commit to Kansas State. He was a K-State fullback, so this probably helped, that kind of helped guide my decision to the best school in all of the country. But he told me, and this was 2008. So this is just kind of when, decommitting was kind of the thing. It's a way different ballgame now. Kids decommit left and right all the time. But back then it was just starting to happen. Transfers were just starting to happen. And he told me, he was like, hey, my coach's reputation is on the line. He goes, hey, if you commit, that's great. He's like, I'd love to see you at Kansas State. Obviously, I'm a K-Stater and I want you to go there. But he's like, if you commit, that's it. I'm not taking any more phone calls for you. I'm telling all these coaches that you're committed. You're not willing to talk to anyone else. And you better be there when you say you're going to be there. And you better be going there and you better finish. And so that's kind of was my head coach, who I look up to a lot, did look up to and still look up to. He kind of said, hey, if you want to commit there, that's great, but you're going there and you're not going to transfer and you're not going to quit, because his reputation's on the line for his future players, which he's had quite a few guys throughout the years continue to go on. So yeah, those high school coaches' reputations matter as well. So, but with that being said, the transfer portal, has it become an issue for Kansas State? Obviously, I think 10 plus guys now have come out. I think we're top 3 in the country for transfers, and I don't think it's a long-term issue. I do just think it's an isolated incident. But as much as we hate it, I mean, you got to think of the kids. I mean, a lot of these kids come across the country. They've never left their hometown. They've never left their home state, and they're thrown into an environment right now that's honestly not very much fun. You and I both, we're all part of the listener and I are both out into the real world and, working and trying to survive this COVID mess and kind of stay positive. And I know my wife's antsy. She wants to go on a vacation. We can't go anywhere. Everyone's kind of stuck in the house. So, I mean, think about how these kids feel. They miss their parents. They miss their friends. All they can hang out with is their 2 or 3 roommates and their teammates. So, I totally see it from an emotional standpoint. Obviously, I would love to see them gut it out, show a little mental toughness and just say, hey, I know this is temporary. Come next spring, hopefully everything's back to normal. If it's not by spring, hopefully by summer. If not by summer, hopefully by next fall, because it will get better. And 2, just you got to think about it strategically. If you're a player, remember Walters was saying like, hey, a lot of these guys are going to have to transfer down. I mean, I know legally they can transfer wherever, but there's not going to be openings. I mean, there's going to be a lot of seniors that decide to stick around and hold up those scholarship spots, and there's incoming freshmen that are expecting those scholarship spots. So unless the NCAA does something crazy and opens up more scholarships, at least maybe short-term or temporarily, there's going to be a shortage of scholarships out there, and it'll be interesting to see how these transfer guys, end up places. If there's not scholarships, it doesn't matter how much you want to go there. If you're not willing to walk on and they're not willing to open up a scholarship spot for you, that makes things pretty tough. So Matt predicted that a lot of these guys are going to be transferring, down to FCS level or Division II level, which is fine. If that's where if they're thought they were going to sit the bench here and they got to transfer to go play somewhere else, then that's totally up to them and totally fine. And I respect that opinion. But hopefully this transfer issue is not a ongoing problem. It's obviously we're going through some growing pains here with Coach Kleiman. I totally have 100% faith in him, 100% faith in Gene and what they're trying to build there. And I remember, when Coach Snyder came in, he tried to clean the house a little bit. And I don't think, Coach Kleiman's trying to clean house. But at the end of the day, you kind of have to have your morals and your standards and your coaching philosophy. And if players want to play for you, then they'll stick around, and if they don't, they kind of weed themselves out. So we had a lot of great players that decided they couldn't handle Coach Snyder and decided to go play somewhere else. And honestly, you know what? Most of them didn't make it anywhere else. So usually it's a player problem, not a coach problem. When they decide they can't play for a coach, usually there's some underlying issues there, whether it's selfishness, lack of hard work, lack of coachability. That really doesn't make them. They're not going to have success no matter where they go. So. With that being said, kind of our tangent on the transfer. Trying to think what else we want to touch on today. Oh, just really, I know everyone's frustrated with 45-0 loss. I mean, that was kind of, honestly, I turned it off late in the fourth quarter. I couldn't even watch it. It was so, just that offense was so, couldn't get anything going. It was boring, bad football, which I got better things to do on my Saturday than watch that. So, I was just thinking back to, I remember back in 2009, we went down and played Texas Tech. I think we lost like 65-7 or something. My freshman year, we got our fannies waxed. And, I remember Coach Snyder after the game just coming in, and really it was a speech of like embarrassment. Like, hey guys, like, he didn't come out of retirement to get embarrassed up and down the field by a Texas Tech program or any program in that matter. And, I think most of these head coaches are pretty realistic with, they don't expect to win every game. They want to win every game. They do everything they can to win every game. But all they want is you just go out there and play well. And if you go out there and play your fannies off and you lose by a touchdown, you lose by 3 points, then most coaches can live with that. But in 2009, we went out against a Texas Tech team and got up and down the field. 65-7, I think, was the final score. And really, Coach gave a really good speech just about, having more pride in that and not getting embarrassed. And he was embarrassed. All of us were embarrassed, and wasn't a fun time. And he kind of going through those same growing pains of his second return here, second come back here, and just trying to figure out who wanted to be on this team and who didn't want to be on that team, and who wanted to buy in and really come together as a team, and who was thinking more selfishly and did not. So, and if you all remember, after that, played A&M the next week, and I think we beat A&M like 55-7 or something crazy like that. So we got our fannies whacked by Texas Tech, came right back and beat A&M, and then I think even a week or two later, we beat A&M, and then A&M beat Texas. So it was like a three-way triangle of everyone whooping each other's butts, and it was just goes to prove that anyone can beat anyone on any given Saturday. So that's kind of my tangent there. Just as a fan base, try to stay positive, try to keep supporting these kids. They are trying to figure this COVID life out just as we are out in the workforce. So unfortunately, we're losing a couple to transfers, but on today's day and age, it's just going to happen more and more. And then especially, I think this 2020 year is going to be an isolated blip on the radar for a long-term success for Coach Kleiman and his staff. Looking forward to Baylor. Obviously, unfortunately, Baylor, it's probably KU at the bottom, and then K-State and Baylor right after that. When you look at the records here on, kind of the bottom tier of the conference, and then this team needs that. This team needs to find a way to win. If they can find a way to beat Baylor, hopefully they can gain a little confidence and play a pretty good Texas Longhorn team to maybe end the year out on a high note. That would be a lot of fun. Obviously, if you lose to Baylor, lose to Texas, I think that'll be 4-6 on the year. That'll be a pretty disappointing season for everyone, even considering all the crap we've had to gone through. I think if 4-6 would be a little disappointing, especially how the year started out, beating Oklahoma, and just kind of the early successes that they had. And then I think, like I mentioned earlier, whole season's got a giant asterisk on it. So 2020, 2, we lost Skylar Thompson, our quarterback, had to play a freshman. So other than that, that's really all I got for you, Monty. Hope you had hope you're having a good Thanksgiving with your family. Listeners out there, hope you guys are having a good, safe Thanksgiving as well. Stay safe. Cheer loud for Kansas State versus Baylor. Really, really need this win. Kind of get this program headed in the right direction. A little positivity. Even if you lose to Texas, but you can find a way to beat Baylor, that really just puts a better taste in your mouth as you head into the offseason. 500 team versus a 4-6 team. That sounds a lot better, feels a lot better versus, and obviously, still a chance to go 6-4. So appreciate y'all listening. Everyone stay safe. Have a great Thanksgiving. Give your family a hug, but not too close of a hug. Everyone stay safe. Don't get the virus, and go Cats.
Powercat Podcast. All rights reserved. GoPowercat.com and Spirit Street Publishing.
With Blue Link Plus, you can access your Hyundai Tucson Limited remotely. Doors unlocked, temperature set, lost car found.
There it is.
Get complimentary class-leading Blue Link Plus. Call 562-314-4603 for complete details.